give the floor to Heather.
Thank you. I'll just wait for a couple more people to come in. All right. I'm going to talk about the value of peer support, and we're going to unpack this throughout the presentation. And have you got the clicker? Yes. Should have asked for that. So before I begin, it's customary in Australia to acknowledge our traditional landowners and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. And I also want to acknowledge all the people in the room, the researchers and people with lived experience of FOXP1, because you play an important role in supporting our community. So I'm going to unpack peer support. What is it? What isn't it? How we can do it best, and give some examples of how the International FOXP1 Foundation can support families. So what is peer support? I describe peer support as bringing people together to share knowledge and skills, ideas, and lived experience with one another for them to give practical and emotional support. And people come together through different stages of the journey for different reasons, and it can really help individuals navigate their way in this world, particularly when you're caring for someone with a rare genetic condition. And peer support can be multi-directional, it's unique, and there's sort of no right way, wrong way. It's a one-size-fits-all model. But, but what's not peer support? It's not claiming or acting to be an expert. You know, we can't know everything. It's not giving professional advice. Us as parents, most of us aren't trained clinicians. We're not allied health professionals. We're not researchers. We just rely on our own lived experience. We can't dictate what a person should do. We can give guidance, we can suggest some supports, but we can't tell them this is what you need to do. It's not a formal structure, like we're not counsellors or allied health professionals, and it shouldn't be one way. It should be mutually beneficial, as I said before. So there's different types of peer support. There's one-on-one peer support, which is probably the model that most of you are familiar with. It might be your ambassador giving you support over the phone, maybe giving you some advice on how to apply for government funding, for example. And it can be done through phone, online, through WhatsApp, messenger, text. Then there's the peer support group, and the FOXP1 Foundation runs online monthly catch-up, and Kate Maui, do you want to wave, Kate? Runs that every month. And that's a really great way to share support and information with others. And we can always learn so much. You know, for me, I've been in this disability world for 18 years, but I'm still learning. And I think there's so much value in speaking to other people who are further along the journey than you and learning from them. What works for them, what hasn't worked for them. There's mentorship, so you might have a new ambassador be linked up with another ambassador to say, you know, this is what I've found helpful when supporting families. And there's advocacy, and we don't often think about advocacy as being part of peer support, but it's where people can come together for the greater good. So you might be lobbying for carer superannuation, for example, or something else that's going to help your community. It might be clinical trials for a drug down the track. So what should you avoid with peer support? And I kind of touched on this as well earlier, but, you know, self-promotion, you know, you don't know everything, telling others what they need to do. It's really important when you're giving peer support to listen and, you know, be aware of your non-verbal communication skills. You know, you don't want to be eating when you're trying to support someone who's going through a difficult time. You want to be validating and empathising with them. You know, you want to be supportive. You've got to be mindful. Don't promise things that you can't deliver on. If you say you're going to do something, do it. And be mindful of yourself, of your limitations. If you've only got 30 minutes to support someone, let them know up front and offer to make another time. Realise your own capacity. I think it's really important to be transparent, be honest. You know, I don't know this, but can I take it away on notice and come back to you? And you've always got to be flexible and open-minded. So why is peer support so important? I'm very passionate about peer support, as you probably tell. And I think the biggest thing for me is it limits isolation. You know, we've heard before from Carl, it's so isolating when you cannot connect with someone. And, you know, for me, it's making new friends. And I think Annemiek and Esther's example of peer support is beautiful. They've got this wonderful friendship and now they've put on a fantastic conference. So there's so much value in it. It also provides emotional and practical support to one another. It brings a sense of community and belonging, opportunities to learn, and it reduces stigma. You know, rare diseases are rare, even though collectively they represent 6 to 8% of the population, there's still stigma attached with them. And it can be really empowering. And I know sometimes, you know, I'm a bit over doing all the therapy for my daughter, and then I talk to someone, they go, oh, I use this really good app, and it motivates you to go and download that app and go and support your child that little bit further. So how can we support each other? You know, we want to share knowledge, coping strategies, what works for you. You know, for me, I like to exercise in the morning. That's my mental health. Other people like to meditate. But caring what strategies work for you can be really empowering for other families. Behaviour management tips. You know, it's great to listen to what works for some families. The medication, knowing that it's not a one-size-fits-all model, but if you've got a starting point that you can discuss with your clinician what medications has been helpful for other FOXP1 families, that's got to be good. You know, we don't want to waste time with ineffective treatments and therapies. We can look for the red flags. You know, people can say, well, this puberty was a really red flag time for me. This is how I got through it. That can be helpful for people. Clinical trials, it might not be for FOXP1, it might be for CBD oil, and it happens to be happening in your state, and you can share that information. Education tips, mainstream versus special schools, puberty tips, funding models, you know, what you need to do. Like, for example, in Australia, to prepare for your National Disability Insurance Scheme planning meeting most years. People can share tips of what works and what hasn't worked. Transition tips, and the highs and lows and the laughs of our journey. Let's face it, you know, we've all cried together, we've all laughed together. It normalises it all for us. So how can we support each other? We can contribute to research, such as through RareX or the Dutch study we heard about yesterday. We can discuss symptoms with each other. We can join the FOXP1 Facebook group, also the Mums and Dads Chats group, swap contact details, make new friends. And, you know, today's a great way to make new friends. You can attend virtual catch-ups, family gatherings, and you can reach out to your community for support. So I want to talk a little bit about social precision medicine, and I spoke about it yesterday, but it's where you share ideas and knowledge with other people, and then they can take some of that knowledge to their clinical team to try a new drug or new therapy. And I think we can empower each other to do this, and we'll see a lot more of this in the future. And for us, it was trialling a drug for an overactive bladder that I didn't know about until another FOXP1 family found it, told me about it. And sharing stories can lead to acceptance. How many here have kids who fill their pockets full of the same stuff? Put your hand up. And what about backpacks full of stuff? Yep. And whose kids wear the same clothes over and over again? See, these are all traits of FOXP1 that we might have thought were unique to our families until we've come together and we've shared these ideas. And there's power in that, and it normalises it, even though it can certainly frustrate us at times. You know, we don't want to waste time with ill-effective treatments, so if we can share what works for us, it's been really good. And what are the most effective drugs? and those strategies to manage behaviour, what works for people. So I want to briefly talk about the Ambassadors Program. It's a great opportunity to connect, and I'd like to acknowledge Gail. Gail, can you just have a wave and thank her, because she does an amazing job. You know, we've got 20 ambassadors that support over 20 countries, and I think that's fantastic, especially for a relatively new organisation. And being an Australian ambassador, I feel empowered to help others, but also knowing I've got the support of other ambassadors is also fantastic. So thank you, Gail. You know, it's a great way to share ideas. If you don't know who your ambassador is, please see Gail after the meeting and she can connect you. And your ambassador can organise events in your state. They can connect you with others. Many of them have their own Facebook group or WhatsApp group. And of course, they can offer peer support. So peer support improves the mental health of people. It can make the difference between a parent going on antidepressants and not, falling in a hole or not. It can limit isolation, and, you know, we've spoken about it today. Hopefully no one leaves here with not having been connected with someone else from their country. Connection and support is so important, and friendships are wonderful. You know, your regular friends, they're wonderful, they're great, but they just don't get it. Even your friends with kids with disability, they don't get it. They don't get it like another parent who's parenting a FOXP1 child. And if you've ever heard me speak before, I always bang on about never underestimating the value of peer support, and I strongly believe it. So this is my lovely daughter, but I'd also like to thank all the, yeah, she's obsessed with Titanic. That's her thing, along with glue sticks and Barbie dolls, destroying them. But I also like to thank the other FOXP1 families who gave me permission to use their kids in this presentation. I'd also like to acknowledge the International FOXP1 Foundation, the board, and all the ambassadors, and all the people who give peer support in the room. I'd also like to acknowledge Professor Tiong Tan, who diagnosed our daughter 9 years ago. Without that diagnosis, I wouldn't be empowered to stand up here before you today. And I'd also like to thank my partner Shane and my daughter Rebecca. They couldn't travel here because Rebecca's got so much anxiety, and it's also a very long way, an expensive plane trip. But thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks.